Hey there! In this video, we're going to make a game about one of life's greatest challenges, keeping your phone from falling into the toilet. Ah! In this game, a bunch of iPhones are falling towards the toilets. Ah! Your job is to keep them up and dry above the toilets. I'm going to explain each step to make this game. You can listen and learn, and then I'll tell you when to pause and write your own code. If you get stuck or confused, no worries. Just tap the video to pause it and hit the back arrow to rewind. So let's dive in. Haha. First, I'm going to tap this gray plus button on the bottom of my screen to add the first object. Since I want to make a game about a phone, I want to use the phone emoji. I can find the emoji keyboard by tapping the blue square to get a text object, and then pull up the emoji keyboard. Choose the iPhone emoji, and then tap check. Then I can press down on the object and move it anywhere on the screen. I'll put the phone object up at the top of the screen. Pause here to add an object to your game. You can choose the iPhone 2 or whatever emoji you want. Okay, got it? Good. Time to add some toilets. Just like with the first object, I want to use emojis to create a toilet object. So I'll tap the plus button at the bottom of the screen again and choose the blue text object again. Then I'll open up the emoji keyboard and type out a bunch of toilet emojis in a line. Once it looks like enough, I'll press the check mark and then drag them all down to the bottom of the screen. Notice that even though I'm using multiple emojis, they are all part of the same text object. Text objects can have as many letters as we want or even as few as 0 letters, and they will all act like a single object. Pause here and add some toilets to your game. If you see the delete menu when you drag them to the bottom of the screen, just tap no, keep it. Great. Now I have my objects assembled on the stage and it's time to program them. I'll write code that tells the objects what to do. I'm going to start with the phone. I'll tap twice on the phone emoji to open up its code. And now I'm in the editor. I can tell that I'm writing code for the phone because I see a phone at the top of this blue box. The code I write will tell the phone what to do and when to do it. So first I have to choose the when to do it part. All of these magenta blocks you see here are when blocks that you can pick to tell the object when to do something. I want to make a bunch of copies of the phone when the game starts. So in this when's menu, I'm going to tap the game starts block. After I add it to my code, a blinking blue box appears inside of it and the keyboard switches. This new keyboard contains the code that I can use to tell the phone what to do. I want to create a bunch of phones that each fall separately so the game is interesting. I could just add a bunch of phone objects, but Hopscotch has an easy trick that lets you do it all at once. It's cloning, and it's legal. So I'll scroll to the blue section and add a create a clone block. This block will create a clone or copy of the iPhone emoji, but I want 5 clones. So I'll add a blue repeat block and type 5 into the bubble. Then I'll press on these little grippy lines on the right side of the create a clone block and drag it inside the repeat block. This means the game will clone the iPhone 5 times. Great! Then I want the original phone to disappear and get out of the way of the clones. So I'll find a green set invisibility block and type in 100, which means the original phone emoji will be 100% invisible. Pause here and add this to your code. Now, a quick refresher. When I play the game, all the phones fall from different parts of the screen. So I need to write code that tells each of the clones we just created to start in a different place. Hopscotch has an easy way to do this. I just need to add a new when block. If I tap the white space under the bottom of the when the game starts block, I get the when's keyboard again. There's a new when block called object is cloned right below the game starts block. This when tells the clones what to do when they are created. You can only use it after you've used the create a clone block, which I just did. I'll tap and add it to my code. First, I want to make these clones bigger so it's easier to see them. I can use the green set size block to do this. I'll add it to my code and set it to 200%. The clones will be twice as big as the original emoji. Now, I want the 5 phone clones to do 2 more things after they are generated at the start of the game. First, go to some random place at the top of the screen, and second, fall forever down towards the toilets. I'll start by making the clones go to a random place on the top of the screen. I'll scroll to the right and find a red set position block. This block moves an object to a specific point, or X and Y location on the screen. But I don't really care where at the top of the screen these phones go. They can go to a random spot that the computer can pick. So I can program them to do this by setting their position to random. In the first bubble, instead of typing a number, I'm going to scroll right to find the purple random block. This block has 2 bubbles in it. For the smallest and biggest possible numbers random can choose. In the first bubble of random, the smallest number, I'll type 1. In the second bubble, which is the biggest number, I'll scroll right until I find the yellow width block and add it. This means that each phone clone will show up in some spot between 1 and however wide the screen is. It could be all the way to the left or all the way to the right or anywhere in between. I'll then tap the bubble next to Y and grab the yellow height block and add it. This means that the phone clones will be on the top of the screen every time. Great. I'm going to press the triangle in the upper right corner of the screen to play my code and see if it works. It does! Wow, look at that. The 1 phone we had turned into 5 and they all went in random places. This is one of the coolest things about coding. You can turn nothing into something. I'll tap the pencil in the right corner to go back to the editor. Pause here and add this code to your game. Make sure yours matches mine. Try it out. If you aren't sure, just pause and rewind. Next, I want the phone to fall forever towards the gloom and doom of the toilet bowl. Hopscotch has a block that will make something happen forever. It's called repeat forever. This block is a loop, which means it runs whatever code is inside of it over and over and over again, forever. So I'm going to scroll across the keyboard until I find a blue repeat forever block and tap it to add it to my code. The blinking blue box is now inside the repeat forever block. Time to add the code that makes the phone clones fall. I'll scroll left until I find the red change Y by block and add it to my code. Change Y moves an object on the Y axis or up and down on the screen. When the number inside of it is positive, the object moves up, and when the number inside of it is negative, the object moves down. Since I want the phone clones to fall, I'll tap in -20, which means the object will go down or fall by 20. I'm going to test my code to make sure it works by pressing the play button. It does! A bunch of phones spring up in random places and then they fall down. I'll tap the pencil in the right corner to go back to the editor. Pause here and add this code to your phone object. Make sure the phone is at the top of the blue turquoise box like it is here, and make sure your code matches mine. We're almost done, but we need to add some drama to this game. I'm going to program the clones to bounce back up when I tap them, like when you're playing with a balloon, and bump it back up. So when I tap on the falling phone clones, I want them to go up. This means I need a new trigger, or when block. When a phone clone is tapped, moved up. So I'll get that new when block by tapping in the white space under the last when block to bring up the when's keyboard again. This time I'll find when is tapped. See how there's an iPad emoji at the top of the when is tapped block? When I tap it, a new menu showing all my objects pops up. I'm going to write code that says, when a phone is tapped, go back up. I want this rule to apply to all the phone clones, not any one particular phone. I can use this self block for this. It means when this clone is tapped, do something. The little phone clone is listening, and when it is tapped, it's like, myself was tapped. What should I do? So now we need to get the phone to go back up after being tapped. I'll find the red change Y by block and tap on it to add it to my code. Moving up is the opposite of down, so I want to set this number to something positive. I'll type 100. And let me check and see how it looks. It works! Great! Now pause here and add this all to your code and test to see if your code works. Notice how the when is tapped rule works for all the phones. Okay, I want to make this thing even more fun. I want the phones to disappear when they touch the toilet, so it looks like they're falling in. This is kind of like game over. The phone and its clones are the one that will disappear, so I'll double check that I'm in the phone's rules by looking at the top of the blue box. Yep, there's the phone. I'm in the right place. Okay, when a phone bumps into a toilet, it should disappear. That means I need a new trigger or a new when block for when the phone bumps the toilet. So I'll tap in the white space below the last when block to get the when's keyboard again. I want a when block that triggers when a phone bumps the toilet. I need to look for bumps, so I'll scroll over to the right. It's the first block under collisions. I'll tap bumps to add it to my code. See how it says when anything bumps anything? Instead, I want when any phone clone bumps the toilets. So I'll tap on the first anything. Now I can see all the objects in the keyboard. I'll choose self again, which will refer to any phone clone because we're in the phone's code. Great. Now I'll tap on the second anything. I'll choose the toilets / text2, which is what my game is calling the toilets. Great. Now this code says when myself, which means any of the phone clones, bumps the toilets. Okay, now we need to tell it what to do. To make the phones disappear, I'll scroll over to the green blocks and find Set Invisibility. I'll tap and add it to my code. Then I'll type 100 for 100% invisible or completely invisible. Okay, I'm going to check it out. And it works! The phones go away when they touch the toilets. Now pause here and add this to your code. Then test it out to see if your phones go away when they touch the toilets. If not, pause and rewind to find the place where your code is different than mine. Great. Is it all working? Awesome! You can make this game even more competitive by making more phone clones, changing the rules so that the phones disappear when you tap on them, adding points for every phone you tap, or adding lives that subtract when the phones hit the toilets. You can also just change how fast the phones fall or any of the other numbers that you've entered. Play around with it and have fun. And don't bring your phone into the bathroom.